Welcome to this podcast, Holistic Creators, where we share our unique and universal stories about shaping the future for the 4 Ps: people, planet, purpose, and profit. My name is Swanette. I'm a mental coach and your host of this show. My intention for this show is to inspire you on your path to a holistic future. So welcome. Hello, welcome to my podcast, Holistic Creators. My name is Swanette and I'm your host. Today, my guest is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. She is the president, founder, and chief listening officer of USA Global TV and Radio. So welcome to my show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited and honored.
Yeah, so I'm curious, and I'm sure my audience is as well. How did you become the person you are right now? So let us know a little bit about your background story, about challenges you overcame. Let us know, who are you and what is your story?
Thank you. I'm happy to share. And I guess I'll go back a little bit, a few decades ago. I was in corporate America, and I've always been someone who is about getting gold stars, getting certifications, getting degrees, getting A pluses, getting 100s. And so I've always been that way, striving for being the best that I possibly can be. And out of nowhere, I ended up getting diagnosed with an incurable disease, which is ulcerative colitis. And I was diagnosed in 1991, right after I got engaged to my ex-husband. And I have to say that that really shaped who I am today, because it's a disease that causes an incredible amount of pain. And when you know that there's no cure, and it's definitely not something that's very sexy on any level. So as a woman who prides herself on her looks and her appearance, that is something that has always kept me humble. And throughout the course of my career, what I was finding was that all the travel that I was doing was not good for my condition, and all the entertaining I was doing. So fast forward, after decades of being in corporate America and calling on C-level executives in the telecom space, as well as the meetings and events space, I decided to work with a coach who is now a dear friend and one of the members of our platform. And I decided to put together a plan to retire from my corporate career. In the meantime, I got certified as a holistic life, career, and executive coach. And I was planning on using that, as well as my master's and doctorate in finance, to help people in many different areas. So I had the plan. I put together the letter of resignation. I met with my boss, and I retired from my corporate career March the 6th of 2020. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. And I was living in the state of New Jersey in the United States, and the state was shut down. So I literally could not really do anything. And in the meantime, I was also doing a television show in person in an actual studio. It was called Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It was a 30-minute show. And I was doing a radio show for a radio station out of New York. And that was called Live at 5, Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. So I was doing those things in addition to what I was doing for my career. So what I found was the clients that I had were not able to afford paying for any coaching. And I also happened to get certified as a yoga sculpt instructor and a meditation teacher. So I was doing everything for free in 2020. And I wasn't going into the television station because of the pandemic, although they were open. And so I just started focusing more on the radio show and on coaching people virtually and doing virtual yoga, etc. So fast track that, I saw that somebody was doing a Facebook Live, and I reached out to this person and I said, how do you do this? So they were working with a producer. I contacted the producer and I hired him. And so we had the radio show, which was going out over New York and other parts of the world, obviously. And then we were also live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So I was able to meet with people on Zoom and hear their story. So it ended up being so successful that today we are USA Global TV and Radio with 25 to 30 shows every week. And I really credit what I'm doing in that area as well as my other business, Dr. Jacalyn, where I teach people how to listen at an elevated level. I coach, I write books, I sing. But I have to say that the foundation of all of it is the support I've received from the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. And the people there really gave me the understanding that there was nothing wrong with me, that I wasn't dirty and disgusting like people had said that I was. And from there, I'm on the board of the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. I run a support group. I'm a team captain for 2 of their big events. And that's maybe who I am today.
Yeah, what an amazing story. And I can only imagine, like, when you're in this moment of wanting to start something new, as you figured out, like the old topic that you have been in corporate world will end, and you close this chapter, and then you want to start. And then, of course, for everybody, we had the situation with COVID and everything was closed. But do you see that you would have been in a different direction if if there was not the necessity to go online? Like, do you think this really brought you into what you are now, or what you're doing now?
I definitely do. And something else also happened during the pandemic. I had been living on my own, and my mother wasn't doing very well. My mother lives in 2 different states, different parts of the year. So I had been very close to her. I still am. And I would travel to see her every 2 or 3 weeks. And then when the country got shut down, I wasn't able to see her. So she was by herself for almost 3 months, and we were FaceTiming. But by the time we actually got back together, she had some major health issues, and her memory started going, and it was obvious that somebody needed to be with her full time. So I moved in with her full time. It's been almost 3 years now. Actually, it is 3 years. And if it weren't for that, I don't think I'd be able to do what it is that I'm doing today, because the fact that I was literally in quarantine, taking care of my mother in a house, enabled me to set up a business where you're behind a green screen running your business from there, as opposed to traveling around and meeting with people. So I think the pandemic, and also taking care of my mom.
Yeah, and I totally hear you, because I moved from Germany to Madeira, where I'm living now, because I was in a burnout, and from the outside I had this kind of jet set life, but inside I felt like, no, this is not how I want to continue my life. And so I also decided, okay, I need to change a lot. And then being here on a tiny island where, of course, we have an airport, we can fly, but really changing the business into becoming more online, working. Of course, now we all work with Zoom or other technology to connect all over the world. And I think this is amazing, that from being kind of local in your space and then traveling from here to there, now it's like we are open to, globally, we are open to the world. Do you see that like having this impact in this world will contribute to your mission?
Yes, thank you for asking that. I definitely do, because when I think about the platform that we have today, USA Global TV and Radio, we have people who are show hosts or who are team members who are literally from all over the world. I never would have gotten to meet them, I'm sure. And also we get to hear people's stories about their culture and about things that you don't read or hear about on mainstream television. So I am truly grateful. And at the end of each week of broadcasting, the end of Friday night, I think about how much I have learned. And it's literally just, I'm so grateful. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, I think this is also a very interesting topic, because it's not only that we share our knowledge or our wisdom, but at the same time, as we connect with other people all around the world, there is this learning aspect. And this means like being open-minded to other opinions, open-minded to other cultures, and also what you're doing, like active listening to what they're really telling you. So what is this about listening actively? Because I think this is for a lot of people, like, okay, I'm listening to people, but what is it that it is really this deep active listening? What makes a difference? What is it all about?
I love this question. Thank you. I feel, because I've experienced this myself in having an incurable disease, when I would share how I was feeling with people, they would say, why don't you take Kaopectate, Pepto-Bismol, why don't you? And nobody was really listening to what I had to say. And even when I was in corporate, I always felt that there were certain people who were always doing all the talking. And so I just stopped contributing in some ways because I felt like no one was listening to what I had to say. So when I started interviewing, the most important thing to me is that the guest feels like they're heard. It's not about me, it's about the guest. So as I started expanding and bringing team members on, I noticed there were some behavior traits that people were doing while we were filming, and I thought, oh, this is not good, because I could see the expression on the guest's face. They're all excited for this opportunity, and the co-host is cutting them off. So I've created courses with Dr. Madeline Chan, but the one course that I have that I do myself is called the Power of Listening Foundational Course, and all of our team members have to take it. And basically, there are 4 key areas to answer your question. The first is listening without judgment. So many times we're having a conversation and somebody says something, for example, I'm pro homeschooling or I'm against homeschooling. And as soon as the person hears what it is, they shut off, no longer listening. And they can't wait for you to stop talking so they can interject what they think about what you just said. So I teach people through role plays how to listen with an open mind and not be judgmental. The second thing is listening without providing a solution. And this is really important when we're interviewing people, because someone might say something. For example, I might say, I have ulcerative colitis. And you might say, oh, I have a suggestion for you. Have you tried? And meanwhile, I'm just sharing with you what it is that I have, but you feel inclined to give me a solution. And at that point, you're no longer listening. The third is to listen without interruption. We know what that is, but especially when we're interviewing, I'll see some of the team members, they're like, they can't wait to just jump out there and say something, and they're no longer listening. And then the last one is the dreaded stage hogging, where someone is sharing experience. I went on vacation. I did this or that. And you come in and say, I went on vacation, and when I went blah, blah, blah. And now I'm still here with my vacation story that I don't get to tell you, because now we're listening to your vacation story. So through role plays in this 2-hour course that I put together, people can see themselves. And that's what I hear all the time. Oh, my husband and I, that's us, or my sister, whatever it might be. So that's what I teach people in that specific course. And in terms of being on our platform, if the people don't take that course and they tell me they're a great listener, and then I observe them, I say, I gave you a shot. You're not a great listener. You need to take the course.
Yeah, and this is absolutely powerful, because I think we all already have, while we are listening, something in our mind, like a concept about what I'm going to hear, or like an idea what I want to share while I'm listening. And this undermines really being active in this listening and really allowing someone else to fully express themselves. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with you. What I found is, and now I've done over 3,000 interviews. I don't even know what the exact number is, but I don't ever use a script. And people reach out to me and they'll say, can you send me this? And I say, no, because I'm going to follow the conversation, because I'm really going to be listening to you. My mind is completely open. I'm not thinking about anything else. I've got the door closed. I'm totally present, and I'm going to go where you lead me.
Yeah. And this is also a fact, like, when are people really present, like in this moment, concentrating on what they're doing, like having this conversation right now, and not being somewhere in the past or even in the future, like with my mind in my to-do list, or what I have to do later on, what's the next step, but really being in this moment. How do you teach people to be present, to really focus on this moment? How are you doing that?
I have used videotape of people when I've interviewed them, or when they've taken a course. For example, my courses are all automated now, but when I actually was filming them, one guy's on his phone, and I showed him that, like, do you see that you're on your phone during this? Like, how could you be listening if you're on your phone? So when you share that with people, then they actually get it. So that's one way. Then another way is I'll ask people questions about the conversation that we had and see if they can answer the questions. So there's different techniques depending on the person's personality, but in many cases, I have to have a coaching session with them so that we can actually walk through how to listen at an elevated level. And as you know, it's a skill set that we have to always be working on.
I see this distraction a lot, even if we sit together, like having a meal together. And at the same time, we have this conversation and I see people like texting or reading their chat or whatever they are doing on the mobile phone. And I think, oh, it would be nice if you would be here, like with us and like interacting with me right now and not with friends who are somewhere else on your mobile phone. I think this is also a question of, I would say, respect. Yeah, respecting the other person, giving time, being there and also being present. What do you think about that?
I completely agree with you. I remember I was in a relationship with this guy, and whenever we would go out somewhere, he would leave his phone in the car. He would not have it with him. And I felt so important because he was taking that time to be fully present with me. Then I dated a different guy who was always on his phone, constantly. I couldn't even get a sentence in and he was on his phone. And he said to me, I have so much work. I'm so overwhelmed. And I thought, well, you clearly don't have the time for me, because if you can't put that phone down. And I think that's what sometimes happens is you're very busy, I'm busy. I don't even like to say busy, but we're very productive. We're making things happen. We're in service to other people. And we have so much on our plate that it's almost like, how can I take the time to do this, this, or this? But that to me is what life is about. It's finding that time and being fully engaged.
Yeah, and I think also being present means being productive, because we have this idea of that it is possible being multitasking, like doing things at the same time, and perhaps you can listen to something and iron your clothes, but being really with someone really needs this full attention and being here in this connection. Also, I feel that this is kind of an energy connection, and as soon as I would do something else, my energy will drift and to this other place, whatever I'm doing, and not like I can't hold this container of having an interview or having a deep conversation.
Yes, I agree with you. I remember I used to brag to people, to my family, that I was great at multitasking. I would have my two computers, my iPad, my phone, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it wasn't until I started doing this platform that I realized, no, you cannot multitask. You're not actually doing anything productively. You are just splitting yourself up into pieces. And now that's something else that I share with people, that it's really misguided to think that we can multitask and be an effective listener. And I'll give you an example. This just happened the other day, but when someone comes onto the platform, I like for people to get there 10 minutes early so we can review what it is that the person wants to have the audience come away with, etc. And so as I'm sharing this, the co-host cuts in and starts talking to the person about typing their name into the chat with their information. And so I just stopped speaking and I said to the co-host in front of the guests, I said, you know, it's impossible for our guests to be able to listen to what I'm saying and do what you're asking at the same time. They can only do one thing. And you know this because you have taken the listening course. And they smiled and said, you're right, I messed up.
Oh, it's always good to hold accountable, even though we know is one thing, but really acting like that and incorporating it, like really being this kind of person who is there actively listening. I think these are totally different aspects.
Yes, yes, I also agree with you. And to me, I take the elevated listening very seriously because it's part of my brand. So if someone comes through the course and they get the certificate and the certificate is up on my website or it's on their LinkedIn or wherever it is, and then I'm observing behavior that doesn't qualify them anymore, I've actually said to one person, I'm taking your listening certificate away. You're going to have to take the course again. And he took it again because he wasn't doing what he learned to do. And he said, you know, I just stopped doing what I was taught. So I really think it's important, because if we learn to listen as individuals at an elevated level, to me, that means we have inner peace, better relationships, deeper connections, and that can lead to world peace.
Yeah. Can you give us an example, like when someone started with this course and went into their own transformation, like being someone, for example, at the beginning doing multitasking, but then going through the course, understanding about the importance of deep listening and how this played out in their world?
Yes, actually, that's a great question. And somebody comes to mind right away. And I just shared this with her recently. But one of our team members was kind of all over the place. And what I mean by that is highly emotional, prone to laughing out loud at just nothing, and during a show. And so the person took the course and actually took multiple other courses, and all of a sudden this person is a professional interviewer, and the skills that they have acquired by getting out of their own way. I feel with her, she was very nervous about interviewing, and also didn't have the self-esteem. And so therefore, instead of focusing on the other person, the guest, she was focused on herself and her own insecurities. And when you put your energy into being there as a vessel for someone else, then it's no longer about you. It's about, how can I support this other person and make them feel safe? So now this person is doing things they never did before on the platform, off the platform, personally and professionally, and has thanked me numerous times. It's a result of learning how to listen.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that this is more important for people that are, how can I say, expressive in their way? Like, I feel that there are some people who have kind of this gift naturally, who are more, the person who are listening, and the other ones that are more expressive, and the ones who are speaking and bringing out their message. Do you think that on the one hand there are different types of people, and for whom this is the most important? How would you say that?
I think there are different types of people. I think this happened recently. This person came for an interview, and I prepped them in advance, and I said, I'm going to spotlight you, and you'll be on spotlight for a couple of minutes. And when I bring you back, that means let me get a question in. And the person said, yes, I hear what you're saying. So I went to spotlight, and the person was talking for 4 or 5 minutes. Then I brought the person back, and it was the two of us, and they're still talking and talking and talking. So I felt that it was a very poor interview, and they have a lot to offer. So after the show, I met with them and I said, would you be open to some feedback? You have a lot to share. You are very experienced. You're very talented. I would like to see you be able to effectively communicate and also listen, so that instead of just dumping information at people, people will run away from that. It's like, whoa, that's too much information. Take a breath, and then let me ask you something so that you can think about it and then provide more information. So she really thanked me, and she said that she always thought she was a good listener, but that she was very nervous. So sometimes I think people are nervous. I also think it's an ego thing, where I have to tell you everything I possibly can tell you, because, maybe you're going to run away, or you're not going to listen. Fear-based. A lot of these things are lower vibrations or lower energies that I think cause people to act the way that they do. For me, as I mentioned before, I never felt like anyone but my father was really listening to me. And I just started listening to other people because I wanted someone to treat me that way. And people would say to me, still to this day, you really listen. And I have all these secrets that people shared with me that will go with me to my grave. So I'd rather be listening. And this is probably the first or second interview that I've ever done, believe it or not, because I'm the one who's always interviewing.
Yeah, and you are doing great on both sides, being the interviewer and also being the guest, as I have been on your show as well. Yeah. what do you think would be, and you already mentioned a little bit, the impact that if people would learn to active listening, the impact that would this have on our planet, in our society, but also in one-on-one relationships, for example? What is the great impact that this will have?
I feel if people were curious to learn about other people and other ways of thinking and other cultures, that our world would be very different. Even our politicians across the world, if they would learn to listen instead of talk, and also listen with an open mind. And I think that's where people really get off track, because, and we saw this during the pandemic, we've seen this in the States with elections, that there was hatred in this country, in the United States, for our last election. People just literally stopped talking to one another. And you can even see here in the States, there's so many shootings, and woke community and all of these people on various sides of different points, and people are not listening to one another. They're judging. There's a whole lot of judging, labeling, and miscommunication. So to me, instead of trying to earn points for being right or being the last one to speak, I'd rather people just have an open heart and an open mind to see and hear and experience someone else's viewpoint.
I think it's also, despite of judging, like people want to look good, like with their own opinion, like they have their point where they stand for. And as soon as they open their mind and listen to other people, this will have the impact of perhaps getting information that are new and therefore changing perhaps the opinion. So like if I'm only focused on what I have in my mind and sharing this without opening up and seeing different perspectives. And of course, if we come from different cultures, we have different perspectives on a lot of things. But this also tells me, okay, there is not something like one truth. You can only figure out if you open up and see, okay, if I would look from this perspective or from this perspective, what would be then my truth? And therefore it is necessary to open the mind, not judging, deep listening. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. As a result of doing this work that I'm doing on the television channel, I didn't know anything about coexistence, sustainability. There's so many topics that I really was not very well versed on. And we have different co-hosts who are experts in various things. And I just listen. You know, they started out as a guest and I just listened. For example, it might sound ridiculous, but all creatures have a right to be on this planet. They were put on this planet for a reason. So I took a vow when I became certified as a meditation teacher that I wouldn't kill anything. I wouldn't kill any insects or anything. And I really live by that. And what I learned from our pet psychic, because she's really big on sustainability and coexistence, is if a spider, let's say a spider is in the room, okay, move away from the spider. You don't have to kill the spider. The spider serves a purpose, or you could put it in a cup and take it outside. And so the spider serves a place in the circle of life, as do all creatures. And I never really thought of that before. I just thought certain things were a nuisance, or I was afraid of them. But now, instead of being afraid, I'm in South Florida. We've got a lot of huge iguanas. I started researching iguanas. They can run 11 miles an hour. They can fall 100 feet from a tree and survive. We have 8 of them on our roof today. So when I see them running around, I respect them. They look like little dinosaurs, but I used to be in complete fear of them. So my point is, I was ignorant about a lot of things. And now I'm open and I want to learn as much as I can, like a sponge.
Yeah, and you said you have a lot of different shows where you can learn a lot. What are these shows about, and who are your audience in these shows? I'm sure a lot of people want to learn, as I am always like interested in new topics. So what are these shows? What are topics in these shows?
So today we have the following topics. I'll try to get them in order from the schedule. We have women in business, And that's where I interview people, specifically myself. Some of the shows I have myself, and then some are with co-hosts. We also have a woman's prerogative, and that one's with women from around the world speaking on a certain topic. We have talking peace around the world, and we have 3 expert correspondents from different parts of the world who are journalists, global broadcasters, and we come together to talk about bringing peace. And the one person's in Lebanon, and she's an expert there, and the other 2 are in the UK. We also have Sales Leader Roundtable, which is a show that I produce for 2 gentlemen, and they have different people coming in and talking about various things for sales. We have Entrepreneur and So Much More. That's a show that I do with a gentleman where we talk about soft skills, the importance of soft skills, and then if you are a business owner, some of the things that we experience and try to bring information to our audience. We also have Take Steps and Kick IBD, which is irritable bowel disease. So that's in support of the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. And we'll bring patients on, we'll bring doctors on, and Take Steps is an actual event that is held across the United States. It's coming up very soon. I'm fundraising for it. Then we have Talking Heads. Talking Heads is a platform for expert presenters, people who have been in their field for 5 years or more, and they have their own show that they do for 30 minutes where they're presenting something on their topic. And the people who are the experts, they absolutely love it. They keep coming back. Some people have been doing it for 2 years. We also have Your Story, Your Grief, Your Journey. And that's with an international mentor who lost his wife, and he helps people deal with their grief. And grief can be across many different ways, as you know. Then we have Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. That's the very first show that I started with. I did that by myself under the Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn brand. It was booked every week. And now I'm doing it with a co-host on our platform here. We have The Art of Creating Mental Health Wealth. And that is to celebrate how the arts help people who have mental health conditions, concerns, depression, anxiety, how the arts, whether it's painting, dancing, film, singing, how that helps them. We also have Global Adventures, which is not a travel show, but it is a show where people have gone on expeditions and then they come back and share their photographs and then how they've been changed as a person. We have the United Kingdom News and Culture, and this is with our expert correspondents from the United Kingdom. They are international broadcasters and the royal commentators, royal photographers for the British royal family, and we talk about what's going on in the UK. We also have It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. I am a Juice Plus distributor, and my upline is Roland Friedel, who's one of our team members here. So he and I do a show about how to have a healthy lifestyle. We also have the Mallorca Connection, which started off with a gentleman who was living on the island of Mallorca, but he since is moving around the country around Europe in a motorhome, and he brings various people and we hear their stories. We have the men's show, Wild at Heart, Bonfire Talks, Real, Authentic, Uncut, and this is panelists who are men from around the world sharing their experience. And that's been really interesting also because we have men of different generations. We have some in their 70s and in their 30s, and then it's very fascinating because I'm producing that show. We have the Corner Bookstore where we focus on art, new and upcoming as well as long-term authors. We have the Film and Music Show. We have the Wise Ones, which can really be anyone who has something to share. Authentic Achievements, the same kind of thing. We have the Power of Etiquette and Manners, which we partner with the British School of Excellence. And we not only focus on table manners, but emotional integrity, emotional intelligence, compassion, humanity. And we also focus on alumni of the British School of Excellence who are now etiquette coaches. We have the Listening Mentor, which is a show that I do with a therapist who's on Harley Street in London. And we talk about different relationship issues as well as listening skills. That's a really fun show. We have the Pet Psychic Show. We have I'm Spiritual, which is a spirituality program where people basically talk about how their life has been changed from whether they were really religious, they were never religious, to wherever they are today. We have Food and Our Emotions, which is a show where we feature people. It could be somebody who's a nutritionist. It could be someone who's bulimic. It could be someone who's a chef. Anything around food and how our emotions are tied to it. We have the United Kitchens, which is our cooking show. I'm sure that there are more that I can't think of because there are 30. So I'll stop there. And to answer your question, our audience is global. So we stream to many places, but the only place that I really focus on is our YouTube channel because they give concrete information. With Facebook, we stream to 5 Facebook pages or groups, but it keeps getting pushed down and pushed down. I don't know how many times it was shared or forwarded. I go to YouTube, they give me the information right there. So we started out with most of the audience being 45 and older. And now most of the audience is between 18 and 45. So it's very interesting, and from countries all over the world. So I just put these metrics out the other day. But when we first started streaming in 2020, what year is this? 2022. 2021, we had about 1,000 some views for the whole year because I think we had 1 or 2 shows. We had a dating show, and now we have 250,000 views already just for like in a 28-day period. So the numbers keep going up and up and up and up.
Yeah, and this is really amazing. So different shows, but I think if you would give this kind of a headline, how would you give this all a headline? Because I feel that there is something in that connects all these topics. Do you feel that there's a headline?
Yeah, I do. I tell people that our mission is to provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. And we give people a safe place to share their story.
Yeah, and I think this is really important because on the one hand, if you have a guest and he or she is sharing the story and it gets very vulnerable, then this needs to be a safe place. While on the other hand, these are the stories people want to hear because they feel the resonance and feel connected and see that, okay, this has something to do with me. And perhaps this person went through a transformation that I'm still at the beginning. You said, like, you want to really inspire people. Did you get some feedback from listeners that really made a huge difference while they were listening to one of your shows and how this impacted their life?
Yes, I love that question. Thank you. I've had so many people reach out to me to tell me that I have changed their life, me. And I say, no, I didn't change anyone's life. No, with the platform that you have. And I said, well, I put the platform together, but it's not just me. I'm just a small piece of it. And people will say, I said things to you and I didn't even realize that I was telling the world because I felt so safe, like you and I were just having a conversation, and you helped me open up. So I do hear that on a regular basis. And in fact, unrelated to the television platform, when I was at an event for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, I was an honored hero for the Spin for Cures event one year. And I had to get up and speak. And if you know anything about the disease, you're running to the bathroom, could be 45, 50 times a day, crawling, hard to make it there. And so I wouldn't eat anything for a couple of days before this event. So I got to the event. I was very nervous that I was going to have to run to the bathroom. How was I going to get through this presentation? And so I did. I spoke for about 11 minutes. And then after that event, when I went to the restroom, there was a young girl there. And I knew she was a patient. I could just tell because some of these medications, the way your face looks, you just know somebody is on some of these biologics. So she kept looking at me and I said, hi, is there something that you want to say? And she said, I didn't want to come here today because I was so sick. And I told my parents I didn't want to come, but you gave me a reason to live. And I could start crying right now. And as a result of that, she became very involved in the foundation. And now she has her own teams that she runs for these various events. And I thought all I did was just get up and tell my story, but I'm very vulnerable when I share. And that just in that case alone, I inspired someone that she knew she's not alone living with this disease.
This is really impressive. And of course, you're reaching out now to thousands and thousands of people. But I think if you just reach out to one person and can make this difference in their life, from this feeling of perhaps she's suffering and doesn't see any sense in her life, to becoming a member of this association and contributing with her story to others again, like this is a ripple effect.
Yes.
Yeah. And from my point of view, if I can change one person's life by inspiring them or by giving them ideas, what is possible, like expanding their reality about what they think is possible in their life, then it is worth doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so true. And something else that people have shared with me, people who have been a guest or their team members, is that their confidence level increased tremendously because they learned public speaking skills. They also learned how to give and take in a live scenario, when it's not just you speaking, but when you actually have to listen to what the question is, come up with an answer, and then present it. So I think that there's professional growth opportunities, as well as that personal acknowledgement that you have value and that you can be of service to others.
I can imagine that as my audience now is listening, that there are some people who feel, yeah, I have a story as well, and I really would like to share my story. Are there certain kind of people you're looking for, or certain kind of topics? Let us know a little bit about that.
Sure. I want literally anyone who has a story to share, and it's not about them promoting themselves. Absolutely promote yourself a couple of times during the show, but coming forward to share something that you've learned to help someone else. So people can go to our website, usaglobaltv.com or usaglobaltvradio.com, and they can book their session. I don't do any pre-qualifications. So in other words, you don't have to go through me to get an interview. And people will do that. They'll go onto the website to contact us. They'll put all their information, and they'll say, can you please consider me? And you will get back to them and say, there's no consideration. You're welcome. You know, if I find that someone fills out the questionnaire and it's not going to be a good fit, and I did find that, we had somebody that was, let me think how to say this. If you were to Google them, they're not going to be a good fit for what it is that we're doing here. So I had to go back to them, and they weren't surprised. And I said to them, you know, we're about positivity. We're about lifting people up, and your topic is not really in that realm. So they understood that. But for the most part, it's really giving people the man in the street, for example, you know, the person who isn't going to get a chance to go on network television, for example, and they want to come and share their story, they're more than welcome. And in terms of the topics, we have all the various shows. I'm always looking to add more, because my goal is to run the channel, not me personally, but run the channel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so I'm always looking for, like right now, I'm looking for 5 more shows that I'd like to put on the schedule for the summer. And they'd be topics that we're not currently doing, because I don't want to have, let's say, 2 business shows unless there's a different an angle. We don't have any show on politics, because I don't think that's not in alignment with what we're doing. So there are certain subjects that I don't really want to bring onto the platform, because they're going to turn people off one way or another, and I could go into them, but I'd rather not. So, like, for example, we're not going to do a show promoting illegal substances. We're not going to do a show on guns. We're not going to, there's just some things we're not going to be doing. But other than that, I am open to hearing from people who are interested in having their own show.
Yeah, and do you have some topics where you say, okay, this is like a missing topic whatever.
Yes.
What could it be, like talking about plants? I think I didn't hear anything about like permaculture, for example.
Yes, no, and I would love to have a topic on that. I'd love to have a topic, I should say, I'm sorry, a show on spirituality. We actually have a spirituality show now on Spiritual but the co-host is moving to a different topic. So I said, that's going to leave this topic open. So she said, yes. So I'm looking for that. I'd also like to have a health show. We have one of our talking heads who is a longevity strategist, and he talks about various things in the health world. But I'd love to have a show that focuses on lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, what's involved with that. So we have our show, it's Your Healthy Lifestyle, but it's really specific to supplementation and exercise as opposed to more from a medical perspective, if that makes sense. We have a fashion show that really has not done well. Initially, when we first launched it, we had a lot of guests, but it kind of fell off. We moved it from one time to another. So I'd like to have something about sustainable fashion. That would be of interest to me. And I'd also like to have something that has to do with giving back. People who they focus on giving back to help other people. And how are they doing that? What can we learn from it?
Okay, and I already get some ideas of people I can bring to you as, for example, someone I know is in the field of vegan luxury clothes.
Oh, I love that.
So this could be something like the next level luxury without harming animals and without harming the environment. I think this is like a very trend-setting topic, of course, for her, but this could also be something for your show.
I love it. Yes, please.
Yeah, so my mind is already like working. And
you know, and another thing that I'd really love to do, I tried doing it myself, but I really couldn't do it in the living environment that I'm in. But I'd love to have a fitness show. And when I started doing it myself, I was limited because of the green screen and then the camera's here and I'm on the floor doing push-ups. And then if I tried doing it and I wasn't behind the green screen in our house, there's not really a place to. So if there's anybody out there who would like to do a fitness show or a yoga show or meditation show, I'd love to have that as well.
Okay. So I will reach out to my network and bring these people to you, because I think that having such a platform where there are already people attracted with a certain kind of mindset and bringing new topics in that perhaps are still not there, this is so amazing and an opportunity. So even people, if you're now listening to that and you feel that you are the one who wants to start your own show, please connect with Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you. That's exceptional.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure people want to reach out to you. You already said there's a possibility to connect via your website, but perhaps there are other possibilities. Can you share a little bit how people can reach out to you?
Yes, I definitely can. So the best way is to go to our website, usaglobaltv.com, and you'll see across the top, book your session. And people get very confused with this. I'm not sure why, but all they have to do is read the top, because there is a call out, and the call out is you can do 5 interviews and there's no charge. After 5, if you want to do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in a year, there is a charge. And the reason being, there are a number of publicists who are sending people to us, and the people are coming and coming, but they're not giving back to the platform. So that's okay. You don't have to buy or do anything, but let someone else have an opportunity to come instead of you having 10 opportunities and you're not helping us grow, if that makes any sense. So you just scroll down and then you'll see the shows. And then you click on the one that you're interested in and you click on the time. All the times are in Eastern Standard Time, just so people know. So you have to figure out wherever it is in the world. So you can do that. If you're interested in coaching, you're interested in our listening courses, you're interested in any of my books or my songs, you can go to drjacalyn.com. And that's where you'll find all that information. If you want to watch our shows, You can watch them from usaglobaltv.com, and you can also watch it from our YouTube channel or any of the other social medias. But on YouTube, it's USA Global TV and Radio. And the last couple of things I just want to mention are I started a GoFundMe page recently, which you can find on our website, Book Your Session, because I want to take the platform to the next level. And in order to do that, I want to bring on some more producers and I want to advance the technology. So I have committed a huge amount of my savings, over $200,000 into the platform. And then just to run the platform is $2,000 a month without anything else. So if there's anyone out there who feels that they'd like to, they've been a guest and they want to make a $5 donation or something, that would really be appreciated. So that's on the website. And then the last thing is that I'm starting a mastermind group specifically for women. And this is called Creative Hearts Women in Business. And so what I'm looking for is people who are interested, entrepreneurs from around the world who are interested in helping other entrepreneurs grow. So it's really a think tank as opposed to just networking. Of course, there's networking. I'm all about that. But I want people who are interested in growing their business and helping other people grow their business. So that's by invitation only. So if anyone is out there, they can contact me and then they can apply, because with the questions that I've asked, I can really weed out, is this a good fit or not a good fit based on who we already have. So you can email me at Dr. Jacalyn, which is DrJacalyn at usaglobaltv.com.
Yeah, I will put all the links in the show notes so that it is easy for people to reach out to you.
Thank you.
Come in contact, be a guest on your show, and contribute to what you are bringing out into the world.
Perfect. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So last but not least, is there anything that I didn't ask you and you would like to share?
No, one thing I would say is I'm really interested in helping children and their families learn how to listen at an elevated level. So with the book series that I've created, and there's a second one, I actually have some of my books here. I'll just show it. I'm just bringing it up for a specific reason. So all of the animals on the book cover represent real people who took the Power of Listening course, and they are committed to helping children and their families learn to listen. So when someone takes the course, they become an elevated listener, their headshot and their certificate go on drjacalyn.com, and then their headshot goes onto USA Global TV and radio.com. But they also get featured in the book. So for example, we have Alcini, who is the corgi dog. He's the corgi dog on the book cover. So we have 7 books in this series. We've got 5 that are out. Well, actually 4, the 5th one's coming out. And then we started a new series. And all of the books are dedicated to my great niece, who is here. Her name is Ella. And she's actually reading the 2nd book in the series. And I am the ladybug, which is the listening mentor. So I am the listening mentor. And then I fly to all these places to help animals learn how to listen. So if there are people out there who are interested in being part of this journey to help children and their families learn to listen, so we don't have to go for decades undoing all the bad habits that we have, I'd love for people to contact me for that.
Yeah. And I think if children start with this, and understand how important it is to listen to other children, to adults, but also, of course, the parents who read this can learn this as well. This will make a huge transformation in the communication between the children and the parents and the social system around them, I think. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
And the last question, how can I teach my cats to listen to me?
Your cats? I'll put you in touch with the pet psychic because that's her area of expertise.
Okay, thank you so much for today being my guest on the show, Dr. Jacalyn. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and thanks for sharing all your insights and inspiring my audience as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been an honor, and I really appreciate you.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching my podcast, Holistic Creators. If you want to know more about how I can help and support you, have a look at my website, spiritualchangemaker.com. You can also join my Facebook group, Spiritual Changemakers Community. Stay tuned for the next episode by subscribing to this channel. And you also can check the previous episodes.